This is the heartbeat of human services, a peek into the inspiring stories of our community and all things DHS. Join us.
Hey there, my name's Janice Slagle, and I'm your host for today's podcast, The Heartbeat of Human Services. My guests today are Curtis and Morgan, a family of 6 with 4 children. Morgan is a working-at-home mama, and Curtis is a veteran and a Bakersfield police officer. We're going to chat with them today about their journey toward adopting a child that was safely surrendered right here in Kern County.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here. I first heard about your story. February is Safely Surrendered Baby Month, and so we always do a lot of media trying to make sure people know about the law. And I was talking to your previous social worker, Labrelle. Isn't she the greatest?
I love her.
She is so sweet and caring, and she's really the heart of social work. I love how she cares about the families. And she mentioned this awesome family that she said, I kept telling my supervisor how awesome they were, and she was like getting sick of me saying that, they were so awesome. But and then she told me about a little bit more about your story. So you guys came with us to the Board of Supervisors, and that was awesome. We got to meet your little guy. What's his name?
Oliver.
Mm-hmm. What a cutie.
Yes.
He's so cute.
His smile wins over everybody.
You know what was so neat to me watching him? You came first and you brought him in, and then your husband came, and I just loved how you could just see how safe he felt with you, Curtis, and he has such a calm temperament. I was telling my team, you can see kids when they feel safe. They're not nervous. There's nothing fidgety. He just was relaxed, and you saw that he knew he was loved.
Yes,
Yeah.
He is a daddy's boy for sure.
And it was just a beautiful. You really both look like really great parents. So, So I know, if you wouldn't mind, just let me know. Tell us a little bit about why, first of all, you decided to become foster parents. What was in your head, or what were you guys thinking?
Well, that's kind of a long story.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
great. Let's hear it.
the biggest thing is we had 2 biological children, and then I think we always felt like we wanted more, but I didn't. Not only did she not want to go through childbirth, but I also didn't want to put her through that again. So some time passed, and then I just think we felt a calling from God to do more, to help more, and
Awesome.
I guess be there for kids that didn't have what our kids already had. So
Right.
I think that's kind of the main thing.
And I come from a huge family.
Yeah.
I have 10 brothers and sisters.
Some say too many.
Yeah. My husband says too many.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Took me like 2 years to figure it all out.
Yeah, and we actually, my younger sister is adopted. My
Okay.
aunt was a social worker in LA, so we really just kind of grew up in that environment. So I
Okay.
knew it was something that I was always going to be involved with eventually.
That 10, okay, my husband's brother had 12, and whenever I wanted another child, he'd go, let's go visit my brother, and then you can think about that.
Yes.
10 kids, okay. So, Curtis, did you also grow up in a big family? Or?
Yeah, I had one brother. He's like 2.5 years older than me.
Yeah.
Okay,
So.
it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you said you had a sister who was a social worker?
My
Or
aunt
an
was
aunt,
a social
okay.
worker in Los Angeles, but my younger sister is adopted. So.
Okay. And so that kind of, you had some exposure to adoption
Right.
then. And,
Right.
okay.
So I kind of just grew up with that, pretty comfortable with
Right.
it. So
And just having a heart, like Curtis mentioned, you felt God called you to do more. Had you seen, you've probably seen kids where you realize not everybody has it as good as maybe you did, right?
yeah.
So that opened your heart up. And so how did you start out? Did you just call around, or?
That's actually a funny story.
Yeah.
Also, we had just started talking about wanting to figure out where to start, because you don't realize the journey that you're starting, or where to
Right.
start it, I guess, is
Yeah.
easier to explain.
Yeah, there's no directions out
Yeah,
there.
like
for-
follow arrow here. Like, what do you do to become a foster parent? So we went to those free movie nights in the park, and this had to been if not the next day after we talked about it, maybe 2 days later. And you guys were there
Oh,
in a booth.
wow. That is so cool.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was
And-
strange timing.
Yeah, we kind of went over because the social worker who was at the tent looked so bored and like kind of sad.
Yeah.
Everybody
yeah, she
she was like, "You want a pamphlet?" And like nobody was acknowledging her.
interested. Yeah.
And so we
Yeah.
so we kind of like veered over there naturally. We're like, "Oh, this is not creepy, but just like
we were just
too
talking about it.
coincidental
Yeah.
that it happens to be right here." We were just talking about it. So
Wow.
we went and talked to her and kind of got some information. I think she
Mm-hmm.
gave us like some numbers or something.
Well, it was
to
perfect
schedule.
timing because like 2 days later was this like annual banquet that you guys throw
Yeah.
to kind of like get people in and get involved.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, free food. We love free
Yeah,
food.
we do. Yeah,
we
all
were
love free
there.
food. Wow.
Any food? I'm
Yes,
yours
yes.
For a while.
So that's how you guys won us over.
Yeah.
Free food.
Okay, so you went to a park event,
Right.
a movie in the park.
Mm-hmm.
Was this one? Do you remember which park it was at?
It was Madison Grove
Okay.
in the Northwest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Off of
And so
was
that-
it Norris and
Yeah, somewhere around
Callaway?
there.
So that was your first connection, and then the next one was a dinner,
Right.
and you came to the dinner, and then did you start applying to become a foster parent?
Yeah,
or
it kind
what?
of was like a blur, but we must have applied like that night.
It
or
felt like it. Yeah.
turned in the papers.
It felt like it took a long time, but in hindsight, now I can't remember.
so fast.
Because
right, right.
Yeah.
it all happened.
Okay.
But yeah, eventually we got hooked up with somebody and they scheduled a time for us to start
Oh, the classes.
the process.
That's what it
Yeah,
was.
to start getting our hours in. I think it was like
Yeah.
28 hours at the
This
time.
is all
Yeah.
before COVID, right?
Right.
Okay.
right.
This is
yeah.
back in 2015.
Yeah, where they actually
Oh.
had
The
the
end of
classes
2015.
inside.
Yes, in person where you see
Yes.
people, their whole
Yeah.
face. Remember that?
Yeah, that was very strange. We
I
saw
know.
faces.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. It was on the weekends and
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like 8 hours a Saturday, something like that for several
Yeah.
weeks.
Okay.
And it was kind of fun. We were
So
all
then you
a little
got
group.
approved. They met with you probably in your home and that kind of thing. A social worker came to your
Yes.
home and
Yes.
talked to you a little bit about your background and all that kind of thing. And
They want to know everything.
I
There's
know.
no secrets left.
I know.
I didn't have to tell my employer as much as I had to tell them.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm glad it's thorough for the children's sake,
Right.
right? We want to
That's true.
rule out any, people that might be doing it for the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the state gives those requirements, but you guys made it through.
Yep.
And then how long after you got approved did you get a call to have a child in your home?
It was over a year.
It was over a year.
Yeah, so it was. We kind of got discouraged a little bit because
Yeah.
we hadn't heard anything. I think she even called a couple times just to make sure we were still like on the list.
Yeah.
And then our very first call was we went from 0 to 60 like in a night. It was for 4 kids.
Yes, it was.
A-
For siblings.
A sibling set of
Yes.
4. We were one
Wow.
of 2 homes certified for 4,
Uh-huh.
and we had heard that the other home they didn't want to put the kids in.
Okay.
So we were the last resort, but yeah, and it was like, oh, for 30 days, the parents are getting ready to get them back.
Oh,
So
so it was a
so we were
short-term-
like,
Right.
we kind of
Yeah.
felt
Right.
like, well, this is our shot.
Well,
Let's do
that's
it.
good.
Yeah.
So did you have all 4 kids?
Yeah.
That's great.
Plus
that
our
they could keep them together.
Yeah, and
Plus
then our
your own
biological.
children, your
Yeah.
biological.
Yeah.
And how many biological do you have?
2.
Yeah.
2.
yeah,
Okay, so
2.
you had 6 kids in your home.
Yes.
How was that?
Well, I grew up with more, so I was fine.
That's
He
right.
kind of panicked a little bit.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan.
Yeah, there's a lot happening there.
Yeah,
I
and
bet.
the age ranges. I mean, it was 18-month-old, 3,
Yeah.
5, and then 6, I think.
I think the
This is
hardest
like-
part was they knew that they were going to go back to their dad soon. So the oldest, knowing, like, more aware of the situation, it was very difficult.
So that was your first experience having foster children in your home.
Yeah.
And so when you told us that you wanted to foster / adopt, were you aware that you wanted to adopt also? Is that part of your beginning?
Yes. And we were actually one of the first classes ever that had started combining, like, when you signed up to foster, you had to also get the license to adopt. They had just started doing those classes.
think
Or
that
making that a requirement.
the name was like Resource Family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
2017. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
they changed that.
So that we were like in the very first class that had just like got our license from that. So
Very cool. And so after you had those children just for a month or so, right? And then did you get another call?
we did. I actually cannot think of the name of it, but when you watch another foster
Respite care?
yes,
Yeah.
we did that.
Yeah.
The cutest little
That's
boy.
probably really good to start that way, because then you at least understand how the system kind of works and how
Yes.
they call you and what you do. And
Well, and what was fun was because you're in those classes for so long, you really just make friends.
That's
So we
good.
actually walked away with really good friends that we still keep in contact with.
Yeah.
So just kind of having someone
support.
to talk to.
Yeah,
And
other foster parents do connect a lot. I think
Right.
that's good. So then, what was your next call after that? Do you remember?
It was for a single 18-month-old. I don't remember how long after, though.
Okay.
It was a blur.
It's a blur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was several months later, though.
Yeah, we had taken time off because that situation with the other sibling set, and we had to go
Yeah.
to that.
That's,
There was
that's
another
good.
situation
we
that
almost-
kind of happened, and
Yeah.
we had almost wanted to end our license because of it, but we didn't.
It's okay to talk about that, because I think a lot of times foster parents need to take a break, and we see that often. I think that's healthy.
Right.
Yeah, and
When
we
you
really,
know your
really
own
had to do that
boundaries,
and
yeah.
step back and figure out what our end goal was and where we really are with our biological children. So we took some
good.
time, a lot of Disneyland trips.
The healing power of Disneyland.
Right, the magical place.
But it's really a whole family ministry, isn't it? Just what you're doing, your children are affected, and
Yeah.
Were they on board from the beginning? Were your children like into
Yes. Yes, and we still, to this day, we really go by family voting. So we keep it really
it?
fair.
Right.
So we only say yes when everyone agrees to it. So
That's so good. I'm glad that that you feel that they have a voice in it too.
Yeah.
That's probably makes everything a lot easier.
yeah.
Hey, it's that time in our podcast when we talk about job opportunities. Allison, can you let us know if there's any job opportunities at the Department of Human Services?
Hi, Jana. DHS is currently hiring for the following positions: Social Service Worker 4 and 5, Human Services Technician 1 bilingual, and Human Services Technician 1 in multiple locations around the county. We also have an extra help position for group counselor. To apply, go to www.kerncounty.com and click on careers. Back to you, Jana.
Thanks, Allison, for that info on local jobs here at DHS. And now let's get back to our interview with Curtis and Morgan. So, and eventually, you're still fostering all this time, right? And then you get the baby call. Tell us what happened with the safe surrender story.
So he was actually our second baby.
Okay.
Yeah. The first baby was kind of a crazy story,
That's
too.
also, we have the weirdest stories. I don't know why it's always us.
Yeah.
What was the first one, Curtis? What were you saying? I didn't.
Yeah, that was a crazy story.
Yeah.
So her adopted sister from Ventura had another friend who was also adopted, and they're in their mid-teens. So we get like a random phone call from her.
My younger sister.
Yeah, from the younger sister
Okay.
saying, "Hey, my friend's mom is having another baby, and I know you guys want to adopt. Like, do you want it?"
They want to know if we want this
Yeah.
baby, and I'm like, this isn't like
I'm
the
like,
black
what are you
market.
talking
Like, we're
about?
not
Yeah.
gonna buy this like lady's baby. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know
Right.
what you're talking about.
So she
So-
basically said, if this is real,
Yeah.
have that social worker call us. And then what? A day or two later,
It was like
a
the
social
next
worker
day.
literally called.
She had already called,
Yeah.
pulled our license from Kern County. She was like, okay, like, can you take the baby in like 2 weeks?
Wow.
We're
I
like,
think
what?
sometimes people don't know how to do it right. So that's probably what happened. They weren't sure the system and the process. So you did
Right.
the right thing by going back to telling them to have the social worker call you.
Well, yeah, that was
right.
mainly like two teenagers talking about
Yes,
a baby's
Yeah,
life.
like, they're
yes.
just
And then
like,
I'm like, this is like a real baby. This is a real person. Like, you can't just
Yeah,
like
you can't
hand
just-
this baby off.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
but it turned
so-
out it was
So-
real.
So she turned out to be the fifth child of the
or yeah,
the
something
bio
like
moms.
that.
And the other children were already, like, basically family and friends were maxed out. So nobody else wanted her. The aunt and uncle that had her had just had an infant of their own. I think she
Right.
was like a year old at the time. And they had 3 kids, so they're like, we
So
can't have another one.
They really were involved
Yeah.
with trying to place this baby with someone that they trusted.
knew
They
it.
kind of wanted to keep an eye on forever,
Yeah.
kind of follow the story. So
do
we,
you guys
yes.
have a connection with them.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
yeah, they're
wonderful.
awesome. They're good
Yeah, we
friends.
love them. They do come up for birthday parties and to hang out and obviously pictures and all that.
Yeah.
So,
So
it's
that
fun.
little one gets to grow up kind of knowing her siblings too.
Yes.
That's great. That's an
Yeah.
optimum situation when that can happen. You know, we hear of that where families connect with other families with the siblings. So I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
And how old is that baby now?
She's going on
2.
3.
Yeah.
So
3
she-
in June.
Should be 3 in
Okay.
June.
So
So,
while you had that baby, then
Mhm.
you got this other call about the safe surrender baby.
well, that's next.
Okay,
So we
so-
actually got a call for a safe surrender a month after we got her.
okay.
So we had said, like,
This is
we
where Daddy
just
got in
don't-
trouble.
Yeah, Daddy got in trouble for this because he went away from the family vote. Everyone in the family voted
Oh.
to take the safe surrender
It's a
except
vote
for
until
him.
someone votes no.
Oh no.
So we
It wasn't
had,
unanimous.
right. So we did turn down that call just because we had this 1-month-old baby,
Wow.
and she was, positive at birth. So we didn't really know what we were working with yet
She was positive.
for meth
Yeah.
and
Oh, got you.
alcohol. So
Yeah, you.
Yeah, so we
weren't
wanted
sure.
to
I
we
get
wanted
you.
Right.
yeah, we wanted to make sure her welfare was
Absolutely.
okay.
That was smart.
right.
Make
Yeah.
sure she
I know
was-
that was smart. Wasn't it?
Yeah, I think he made the right decision.
I
but-
just it's so hard to turn down kids. It's like, oh,
No.
You just
Yeah,
need them
and I
all.
didn't feel good about the situation, but you just know when something doesn't feel
Yeah.
right,
yeah.
and I didn't want to try to force a square into a
It
circle,
may have
and
been more than you could.
Yeah.
Right.
so
So then that's where all of our
yeah,
comes
so
in.
we were like thinking that we would never get a call
Mm-hmm.
for a safe surrender or anything like that ever again.
So you were aware of the safe surrender law, and
Yes.
Yeah.
that was something you expressed. You were open to having a safe surrender baby. Is
We
that-
didn't want any
We actually
infants.
didn't want any babies.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't?
We
Okay.
only wanted
Mhm.
older children.
Oh.
Yeah.
So our
I
licensed
think
worker
it was like 3.
laughed at us.
Yeah, it was like 3
3
and
and
up.
up. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Between 3 and 6, and then here we are getting slammed with all these
2
baby
babies.
calls.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
But they were meant to be ours.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that some time went by after that, and then
A few months later.
and then March of 2020, basically before the world shut down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think, did I get the call first? I was at work.
She called you, but you missed it.
Yeah.
And she called me.
I
and
actually
then
I saw
he
the
knew.
number. I saw the number, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh, no.
You knew the number, right?
Yeah.
Right.
No.
It's kind of
And when I
ingrained in your
didn't
head.
answer the phone, he knew that she got
Yeah.
me. He was trying to beat the phone call to me before.
He's like, don't call my wife.
Yeah, don't tell my
She
wife
said
there's
no, we
another
don't wanna-
baby.
Yeah, we I tried calling back, and then I didn't answer, but she had left a voicemail, and it was like, hey, we have another baby or whatever. And I was like my heart just started pounding because I was like, oh man, this is the second call. Like
Right.
this has got to be something good. So I ended up calling her back, and then she didn't answer. Then I called the social worker back again. She didn't answer. I was like, no one's answering now. And they give you a time limit. It's like, call me back in
Yeah.
15
15
minutes or
minutes.
else.
So
Yes.
with
So-
safe surrenders,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the clock is ticking. I'm at work, like freaking out and stuff. And then I think I end up getting a hold of her, I think.
Okay.
And then
Right.
basically like, hey, well, it's up to you. And I was like, oh,
At
man.
this point, I'm with all the kids. So
Yeah.
we're like, okay, whatever decision you make.
You're okay
It's-
with either one?
Well, I mean, we had voted, yes, for all of
You
our.
and the kids voted?
Yes. Oh,
Only
they
twice.
were.
Or the second one, you
Yes.
voted. Okay, and
Yeah.
they were a yes?
All of us.
All of them.
And then so we had told her, okay, you make the decision, you call the social worker back, and you tell the social worker what you decided.
And then let us know.
Right. Yeah. Let us know if we have another
Yeah.
baby coming.
Yeah, so I literally just prayed about it for a while, and then I just felt like an immediate,
You felt peace
I
about
don't know.
it.
Yeah,
Right.
just
Right. Yeah.
overcome with joy. So
Oh, wow.
I was like, well,
that's so neat.
that sounds good. So I called her back, and I said yes, and she's like, okay, cool. I'll have somebody from the hospital
Yeah.
call you tonight, right? So I was like, all right, cool. Well, I called her back, and I was like, hey, guess what? I said yes. And she's like, no, you didn't.
she didn't believe
Yeah, she
you.
literally
My voice
didn't
and
believe me.
everything.
Yeah, and I still had like a few hours left at work, so this whole time she's thinking I said no. So I get home, and I'm like, somebody is supposed to call us from the hospital by 5, I think. Well, 5 comes and goes, and like 8 o'clock comes and goes.
So I thought he was
Oh,
messing
Yeah,
around
so-
with us.
so
I thought
that-
he was kidding.
Opportunity.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that furthered her like doubt.
Oh, okay.
And so I was like, why do you do this to me? And then the next day, I think you called. Or
No, they called. Really
somebody called, maybe
early.
around like 8 or something, and was like, hey, the
It
baby's
turns
ready.
out they thought the hospital was going to call us. The
Yeah.
hospital thought
Okay.
the social worker was going to call us, so
Yeah.
nobody had called us. So the hospital had called the social worker, like, nobody's here for this baby. Like, what do we do with this baby?
Yeah, he was just chilling like
Yeah.
with the nurses and stuff. So
Yeah. Oh, and of course, everyone loves him.
Yeah.
Like his little face.
So we end up getting it all sorted out. We go to Jameson Center, like sign the paperwork, and then
Yeah.
we go to the hospital to grab him.
Okay.
So
And that
he
was during
was-
COVID times.
Yeah.
So that was
A little
interesting.
bit different situation
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, what, 14 hours old?
By the time we picked him
Something
up.
like that,
Yeah.
so-
We got the phone call for him when he was 4 hours
Yeah.
old. He was
Okay.
brand new.
Yeah.
So then did you have the car seat and all that stuff, or did they give it to you, or you?
Yeah,
had,
we had
they
everything. The only
everything.
thing, oh, so before we picked him up, we actually had to go run to Target.
I don't think we're supposed to tell people this story.
Well, we didn't have any onesies that fit
that
him.
were boys.
Yeah,
we
'cause
just
they
had
were
this
all
baby
girls.
girl. So I was like, we cannot show up at the hospital with like a girl onesie. Like, we just can't do that to him.
That's so cute.
Yeah, so we went and got like a little elephant onesie or something like that.
Yeah.
And
I went and got him from that.
Was he what? How much did he weigh? Do you remember? Was he little?
He
He
was
was
a
pretty
chunky
small.
little
Oh,
guy.
he was good.
he's chubby, but yeah, he's like,
Yes, and he had
shriveled
the
up.
most beautiful hair ever.
Aw.
Like just really long. It had to be at least 3 or 4 inches long. It was very long,
Wow.
straight.
little
It's
black
not anymore.
luscious locks. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
So then you brought him home, and I bet all the kids were so excited to see
Yes.
him. And
Yeah, even our baby girl at the time, she just would not put him down. She wanted to hold him all
and
the
she
time.
was like a year by then, or
They're 9 months apart.
9 months
9 months,
apart.
yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
He's just the cutest thing. Well, and so then I know there's another piece of the story that you shared with locally about him being born in an
Yes.
ambulance.
Yes, with Hall Ambulance, we found out that through the hospital they had told us that he was actually
Mm-hmm.
born in the Hall Ambulance. So his birth certificate actually does not say the hospital, which is kind of funny. So it's a little bit different. I
pretty
think
cool.
it's
It
the
is
Jamison
different.
Center
Yeah.
because
Okay.
they couldn't really put like L Street or
Can I say
whatever.
that? Yeah.
We
Mount-
know wherever it
Mount
was.
Vernon.
Yeah. yeah. So we found out he was born with the paramedics on the way, and for his adoption, which landed just like 1 week after his first birthday, we kind of did like a combination. But I really wanted Hall Ambulance to be there since they were his first best friends. That's what I call them.
I love that.
So I tracked him down.
That was great. And I saw the
Stalked him a
story.
little bit.
And it looked like the owner of Hall Ambulance made a blanket for him out of
Yes.
Yeah, Harvey
Out
Hall's
of
his
wife.
shirt.
Yeah.
His wife. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
love
she
that.
we
included.
have that
I think
package.
it's like her tradition or something. But yeah, she'll like cut up his shirts and like
Make
include some of it
quilts.
in the quilts.
They
It's super
are
That's
they
very cool.
support adoption.
cool. Yeah.
They're very pro adoption. So
I think their daughter, they adopted their daughter. And actually, Mayor Hall was adopted too.
yes, I
Yep.
didn't know if I was allowed
Yeah,
to say
yeah,
that.
no.
I didn't know what
I
she's.
found that out on an
to the public.
elevator one day talking to him at National Adoption Day. And he told me, yeah, I was adopted. So then
Yeah.
we got him. He was part of our National Adoption Day every year. And,
Oh, fun.
Until he
Okay.
passed
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
But I love that the baby was born in an ambulance, and
Yes.
he wanted to honor those two gals, and
Yes.
that's
So
really great.
They got to be there, and we have a letter from her that she had written about the shirt. So it's really special. We have that all
That is
packaged away for
special.
him to have forever. So
That's a beautiful
Yeah.
story. So safe surrender law really does work, doesn't it? I mean,
Yes.
it's
It does.
really saved 91 babies so far in Kern County that we know of. So since 2006, but a lot of people don't understand why someone would surrender a baby. I get that question a lot, but I think there's so many different reasons, and we have thankfully families that can take care of each other, but a lot of people don't. So I know you, in your message to the Board of Supervisors, just thank the women who
Yes.
do surrender, and it is a courageous thing, isn't it?
yes.
It really is.
It's so easy to terminate a pregnancy.
Yeah.
That I feel like I am just so glad when I look at Oliver that she knew there was like another path that she could take to keep him safe. And we literally would not have Oliver today if she did not follow through with her pregnancy. So,
Yeah. And what
I
a
mean,
beautiful little guy. I mean, he just really brightens a room, doesn't he?
yes.
Yeah. Well, I thank you guys for sharing your story with us, and I think it's good for people listening to know that first you foster a child and you don't really know what's going to happen. With the safe surrender, you do a little bit more because they have that 14-day window, right?
Right.
And I know
Yes.
most foster parents say we're just counting the minutes until the
Yes.
14 days because
Yes.
six babies have been reclaimed here in Kern County, but still, becoming a foster parent, I just applaud you for wanting to even do that. As you had your own biological children, but you still wanted to help, and so I thank you guys for becoming foster parents and then adopting two. And Are you still foster parents? Are you
Yes, we actually have a placement right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're
So-
still like, are you emergency foster parents? Or
No.
so you're doing it to adopt again, or not necessarily?
It was Oliver's social worker, if we want to go back to her.
Yes, we love LaBrelle.
We love her, and we just
Sometimes
cannot
we
tell
do.
her no.
Sometimes we do.
Except when she calls you out of the blue, offering
Yes.
another
Oh,
child.
when you're at
Yes.
Disneyland or somewhere.
Yeah, and says, I have this 5-year-old that you
Yeah.
just like have to have.
Gosh, isn't that so? So do you still do the voting thing? When you get a call from her, do you say,
Yes.
"Okay, got to talk to the family," and
Yes.
and
So we
Dad's
did
not
vote.
overruling too much, or?
No, I can't. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I
I'm in a
think you
pickle.
listen to God, or you
Yeah.
Yeah.
pray about it, like you said, and I think that's good.
Yeah.
Make sure
I
you're doing
mean,
the right thing.
because we finally filled the void with the infants,
Mhm.
and then because our biological children are older, so
And close in age.
yeah, so each set is close in age, so
They have each
we're
other
like,
kind of.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe like a 4 to 6-year-old would be great, and then
Fill in that age.
we trust
gap.
her judgment, so she called us and she's like, hey, I have a 5-year-old who just is, really just wants a family, and so
It's hard to say no to
he's,
that, isn't
yeah, he's
it?
awesome.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we've had him for a few weeks, and
Yeah.
so far so good.
And when
So,
you build these relationships with social workers,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she really just knows our family.
That's so
She
good.
knows what's going to work, what's not going to work.
Right.
So we've had calls from her before. She's like, well, if you're kind of interested, this might work, but you know,
Yeah.
maybe not. But
Yeah.
with this one, she's like, no, he would fit in with you guys. So
I love that she knows you well enough to pick somebody that would work with you, and knowing your personalities and your
Right.
home situation. That's great.
and how many kids
Yeah.
we have?
And how many kids you
It's
have.
a lot.
next
Yeah.
time you see her, though, tell her 5's plenty.
Well, the max is 6 in California. I think
I know.
unless they, and there's exceptions if they're siblings and they want to keep siblings together. But
Yeah.
you guys have 5 right now, then? Or-
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
That's great. Well, your story is amazing, and it's heartwarming just to hear the reasons that you did this, and the reasons, and even that you got the first call and said no to a safe surrender, and got another one. That's pretty amazing.
That's one of the reasons why we just knew we had to say
Decided
yes.
it
Like,
was for
how
you,
did this
yeah.
even happen?
Yeah.
We
'cause
should
that
not have
does
gotten
not
that.
happen much.
Right.
So I know that there's, like last year we had 6 safe surrenders. This year we've had 1. But people, when they say to us, we want to adopt a safe surrender, we say, okay, well, it's not a guarantee at all,
Yeah.
for sure. It really isn't. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that you were blessed that way.
Yes. He was
Very
meant to be
glad.
our Oliver.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
you've seen him.
I've
There's
seen
just
him.
something special about him.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
And you guys you can tell that you're good parents. So thank you for what you're doing. And
We
thanks
try
for
to
being
be.
on our podcast today.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
problem.
thank you for
Really
having us.
appreciate it.
Hi, I am your co host, Paula Hernandez, and before we end today's podcast, I wanted to take some time to get into our Mindful Minute. We will be talking about the power of visualization. Many athletes like Michael Phelps and entrepreneur tycoon Oprah Winfrey use this technique, but what exactly is it? It's a training technique that forms as part of a larger science of psychology. It's supposed to cultivate a renewed mental awareness, heightened sense of well-being, and confidence. The whole premise is to meditate your goals and see yourself in the point of time of accomplishing those goals. When I was a competitive swimmer, my high school club coach would ask us to lay out on our towels right before practice with the sun shining down on us and play us a visualization recording. It would first have us close our eyes, focus on our breathing, then a couple minutes later, the recording would ask us to focus on a flame of a candlestick and to make sure that this flame was still and constant. After minutes, we've entered this focused, relaxed state. We would then be asked to picture our race, every stroke, every breath, every flip turn, and even the pace at which you needed to be at. Then finally, you at the finish line in first place with that gold medal around our neck. I practice this constantly, and some of the best races were a combination of this type of mental clarity and effort in practice. I even still use this today as a working professional. Do you think this is something you could implement into your routine to help you visualize maybe that promotion you've been wanting or buying that new house? What do you think? This has been your Mindful Minute.
Thank you for joining us for the Heartbeat of Human Services podcast today. We hope you'll join us next time.